Okay, good morning, everybody. It is September 24th. We're doing our typical Thursday morning Ask Me Anything for the Linchpin community. Lots of good questions rolled in. I've got my answers scratched down here. I got up early, poured myself some coffee, and made my way through it to hopefully give some intelligent responses. So let's dive right in. The top question, I'm going to refresh the list one more time here. The top question by far was from Steve Miller. Let's see if that's changed at all. Okay. No, maybe I shouldn't have refreshed it. Okay, here we go. Steve, where are you, sir? Okay, here we go. What's your opinion on kids in CrossFit? I.e., when is the right time? What does an on ramp look like? How should the programming change? How should the intensity change? Fantastic question. Would take at least 8 hours to answer. That's why there's a CrossFit Kids course in which they will literally have to answer those questions in lectures that all take about an hour. So that's not an avoidance of the question, but what I would encourage, a lot of people are interested in that, what I would encourage Steve or anyone else to do, there's an amazing resource available for free online. If you just type in CrossFit Kids or CrossFit Kids Seminar into your friend and mine Google, you can download the CrossFit Kids Training Guide for free online, and it is 160 pages of information answering your exact questions. You will get all that you want to know in as much detail as you want to know it. It covers, I believe, kids, or they talk in broad terms of anyone from about 3 to 18 years old. And key points will be, having fun, getting fit, while learning the points of performance for functional movements. Exercise not just good for the body and your health, but it boosts brain power. And kids, ideally are in school and involved in learning, and their brains are developing, so it's fantastic for that. There are certainly some differences, like you said, with loading and intensity and programming. And also just, you've got to do all that in a way that keeps kids engaged and having fun, because they don't have just that focus that an adult can, ideally focus on something that maybe is not interesting in the moment, because the adult understands the concept of delayed gratification and how paying attention will benefit them down the road. Well, that's not really how kids work. So you have to kind of manipulate it in a little bit so that they are involved in learning without them realizing that they're involved in learning. Or you make it fun. You create games that in workouts also teach them skills. One of the examples they give in that free CrossFit Kids training guide that you can download is, you teach them the fundamentals of a good air squat, and then a game is they do these slow air squats, and when they get down to the bottom of a slow air squat in a good position, well, they have a medicine ball with them, and they roll the medicine ball down almost like they're bowling from the bottom of a good air squat, and you've set up some foam rollers that look like huge bowling pins, so the kids are learning some accuracy. They're rolling the ball, they're holding the bottom position of a good air squat, and so you've got this teaching scenario and a workout scenario, but it's disguised as a game, and everybody wins. So there's examples like that. I pulled that one exactly from that training guide, and it's a home run. So I would encourage everybody to dive into that. Like I said, it's 160 pages, so you won't be shortchanged. Okay. Second question was from Justin Hernandez. Here we go. What made you want to start CrossFit Linchpin while you were working for CrossFit HQ, and how has your programming changed since you first started CrossFit Linchpin? Okay, so, well, what made me want to start it, I must admit it wasn't my idea. So I have always just, different people take to different parts of CrossFit. There's so much in CrossFit, right? From the methodology to the nutrition side to programming workouts to, you could just focus on nothing but coaching the Olympic lifts, building communities. You could be a gymnastics specialist. I mean, there's so many things. Some people love doing the on-ramp courses. Some people love running the mornings. Some people love running, gym management. It's You could focus on older clients, on very heavy clients. You could focus on kids, like we just said a second ago, sports-specific training. I always, for whatever reason, I just gravitated towards programming. I don't know why. Out of all those different things, all those different specialties, if you will, I always just loved programming from day one. And so I was always the guy programming workouts, be it for myself or somebody else, or a group of folks would get together and they'd look at me and they'd say, "What are we doing?" And I'd come up with whatever we're doing based upon what we'd done the last couple previous days, what we needed to do, etc., etc. I'm not sure why that happened. It just always did. I always enjoyed the programming lecture when I used to teach seminars and all that good stuff. And since I was basically programming every day for a crew at the office, at the CrossFit office, people eventually, like I said, it wasn't my idea. They said, you should start an affiliate. Obviously, you could just affiliate your garage. You can have a garage affiliate, and it is a real deal CrossFit legal affiliate with everything that you need. It's just your garage, though, and that way you've got it. And now you can start putting out these workouts, not just for us, but under your affiliate name. And everyone will say, like, who knows where that could go? It might go somewhere, it might go nowhere, but you'll probably never regret doing it, never regret having it. So I was like, not a bad idea. So I can't take credit for it. So in 2014, even long before that, I've been doing this stuff. Was just posting it on my own Instagram or on the dry erase board at work. Then I would erase it and it was gone. And so now at least there was a living record. It was going to get posted to an Instagram account, to the website, and it would live forever and ever, be searchable, which I thought was really cool. And it would just be a great way to share my flavor of CrossFit programming with anyone out there in the world that it happened to resonate with. So it started just that humbly, quite frankly, and it obviously has blossomed into something that I never saw coming when I first started. So it's been really cool. The second part of the question is, how has your programming changed since you first started CrossFit Linchpin? So it hasn't really changed. It's evolved, and I've learned things, and things have been modified because of that. But I'll say that it hasn't changed in the biggest, broadest sense. It hasn't changed because I've always believed that you should live your life in couplets and triplets. You should go heavy at least once a week. Every now and then you should go long. That intensity is better than volume. Those things have always, that variance is so critical. That you shouldn't cherry pick workouts. That you should take your rest days. So all those core principles, they were with me before Linchpin existed. They're with me right now. That those have never changed. Things that maybe have polished or evolved or learned from or found ways to optimize and make better, from just the more workouts you program, the more reps that you get, the more experience that you get, the more people you interact with, the more stories that you hear, the more other folks cross your path that you get to pick their brains and learn. And so I would, if you search some old CrossFit Linchpin stuff, you will see that I used to program a heavy lift before the workout of the day. The very thing that I'm so vocal right now about not doing. I used to do that. And I wish I had a time machine to go back and undo that. But I don't. And I don't hide from it or run from it. Everybody, there's some also phrase or saying that if you're the same person now that you were 10 years ago, you've wasted a decade. Meaning, you're not tied to what you used to do. You can learn, you can evolve, you can sift through the data and make better decisions. And I fell into that same trap of programming, heavy lift before the workout, sadly, because, I hate to say it, but peer pressure. There's a difference between giving people what they want and what they need, and that was what was popular and what everybody wanted to do, and it does lead to exactly what I said. Most people don't need that much in one session. Most people don't have 90 minutes to 2 hours to spend in the gym, so it leads to rushed, ineffective sessions of shortcutting the warm up or shortcutting the rest between the heavy lifts or having to make bigger jumps than you should because you feel this pressure of the time creeping in on you and you still got this workout to do, and then, well, should I save something for the workouts? Either the heavy lifts didn't get what they deserved, or I poured my heart and soul into the heavy lifts, and now I'm dragging these legs that just did 5x5 back squat into something else, and now, I mean, what? It just, I fell into that trap, and it was not the best way to do business. It was a lesson learned, and so we don't do that anymore, and that's why, one of the very things we're vocal about at Linchpin is respect the heavy days. That is what works, be it whether people want to hear that or not. Most folks are not games athletes. Most folks don't have 45 minutes to roll out every day. They're probably employed and have kids and other things to do. Most people, they got to get into the gym. If you're lucky, you've got an hour, and you've got to maximize that time and use it wisely, and you have to live your life, so you want to make sure that you're giving everything the time that it needs, the time to do your general warm-up, the time to truly do some warm-up sets for whatever the lift of the day happens to be, the time to truly rest between each one of those working sets on a heavy day, and the time you need to really cool down and stretch and leave. I mean, an hour is poof, gone. And rushing any of that for most of us regular people is inefficient at best and potentially injurious at worst. And I don't want to put anything out there which falls into either one of those two categories. So that was an area that the program has evolved for the better, for sure. And then I would say things that just work beautifully and we see a bit more of is I do have an intentional focus to make sure that we are doing an ample amount of interval training. I like to see one a week in there. Interval training I think is fantastic. And also just an embracing of the dumbbells. The dumbbells can make an appearance a little more regularly than they used to in the program because they're so wonderful and fantastic, and to get in some sort of unilateral work is a home run. So I would say those are some of the key areas. I could probably think of more if I put a little bit more thought into that. Okay, let's see. The next one was from Robin Thomas. Robin, where are you? Okay, here we go. Absolutely loved the Talking Elite Fitness reunion on Friday. So a few days ago, Tommy Marquez and Sean Woodland invited me to go onto their podcast, Talking Elite Fitness, and kind of do a little summary recap of the online games events that just happened there for 2020. And it was a blast. It was fantastic. Okay, so I love the Talking Elite Fitness reunion. That was so fun. Following on that analysis, what would you program to truly test Matt and Tia's limits? Great question. And I don't mean to disappoint, but it's not one workout. Like, there's not the magic workout that would test those two. It is exactly what you see in 7 events over the course of a couple days in that online deal, or, if COVID wasn't happening and you'd show up to the games and it's, 4 to 6 days or whatever it is with multiple events and different environmental scenarios. Like, the more tests, the better. And, that's what it takes. And quite frankly, I have previously programmed events that took place at the games for masters and teens and things like that. And to program those events and to do them right and to do them well just takes a really long time. Just like regular programming for Linchpin, it takes a really long time to write everything out, to make sure that it fits together like cogs in a wheel, that you cover all the bases that you want. And so to come up with one right now and just say, hey, this is precisely what I would do for them, I don't have that at the tip of my tongue. That would take some serious dedicated brain power and effort to come up with a series of events. But it would have to be exactly, in a way, what it is for you and I, which is covering all of our bases from light to moderate to heavy loading, from low reps to high reps, from body weight to conditioning to gymnastics, with some monkey wrenches and unexpected surprises thrown in between, from very short domains to very long domains, opportunities to express intensity, high skill work, grunt work, intentional interference, odd objects, the whole 9 yards. And it's fun to watch those crazy individuals do what they do. So that would be a something I'd have to dedicate myself to for quite some time. And when I did program for the games, it took some time. All right, Travis Roberts, next question. In your video workout descriptions, you always have on a polo or a button-up shirt. Is it business up top and casual on the bottom, or business head to toe? It's usually just a pair of jeans. So a pair of jeans and a polo shirt, or a pair of jeans and a button-up shirt. And most days, I'm around the house, I just, I get on jeans and a t-shirt or shorts and a t-shirt like anybody else. But when I film those videos, I like to look, I'm on camera, presenting material to the community. I like to look presentable. And it's funny, my kids will notice it right away. I'll walk into the office, with jeans and a button-up shirt, and my youngs will go, "Why do you have on a button-up shirt? Where are you going?" I'm just going in the office. I'll be like, "But why do you have on a button-up shirt?" And I'm like, it's tough to explain. So yeah, it's usually just a pair of jeans. Nasos, where are you, brother? Your question was near the top, I believe. Do you think there is a proven way to become better at rowing? Yes. I attended a CrossFit rowing seminar years ago, and I'm here to tell you, there are in-person rowing courses that you can attend. There are online courses that you can attend as well. There are things that you can download, videos that you can watch on YouTube from reputable sources. But rowing, just like anything else, from gymnastics work to weightlifting and everything in between, it is just as steeped with technique and proper mechanics and form that relate to power output and efficiency as anything else we do. So absolutely there are ways to become better at rowing, and absolutely having somebody that their world revolves around being a proficient rower, rowing cues, techniques to improve what you have going on, you will walk away from that a better rower. And then when you sit down on the rower, ideally, you will be able to feel like you're exerting potentially the same amount of effort that you historically exert, yet you're covering more meters with that same amount of effort. Or the opposite could be true. You could cover the same amount of meters that you historically used to with less effort. Both of those are wonderful things and absolutely real-world obtainable. So I would seek out a rowing coach, a rowing course, and if that is an area that you struggle in, the rower is hard enough. You don't want to make yourself work even harder by being inefficient on it. When I went to that rowing seminar, it was hands down a fantastic experience. We had Olympians teaching us how to row, so it was great. There was a second part to your question, I believe. Is there any movement, barbell or gymnastics, that you struggled a lot with? I misread your question. I thought you were asking about, are there barbell or gymnastics movements that relate to rowing? So that's what I scratched down. Is there any movement, barbell or gymnastics, that you struggled a lot with when you started CrossFit? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Name it. Every single one I struggled with. That's not an exaggeration. I am not a naturally talented, gifted athlete at all. Not naturally flexible. Anything that I have achieved, I've just gotten through grinding and just paying attention to coaching tips and cues and trying to focus on getting better. But and a lot of that stuff I just struggle with to this day. It's better. It's far better than it used to be. But just a regular air squat, getting down below parallel without having an immature squat, with having my feet planted nicely on the ground, that was challenging. Front rack position, overhead stuff, I never kipped in my life. Kipping did not come naturally to me. Ring muscle ups, I mean, you name it. I grew up doing just classic bodybuilding stuff of, Monday and Thursday being chest and triceps, Tuesday and Friday being back and buys, Wednesday and Saturday being legs and abs, and then you sprinkle in some cardio. And cardio wasn't really, running. It was when I was in the military, but cardio in the gym was the bike or the elliptical or the Stairmaster. And, you know, we did bench press and flies and stuff like that, but there wasn't a lot of like serious barbell work. Curls is what we would do. But back in the day when I grew up anyway, we didn't deadlift, we didn't back squat, we didn't front squat, we certainly didn't overhead squat, and didn't do any Olympic lifts. There was no power clean or hang power clean. It was the leg press, so it was machine-based movement, the leg extension, the leg curl, things of that nature. So no one worked on their L-sit, right? Just did crunches. So now when I went away from that machine-based isolation, single joint sort of traditional bodybuilding stuff, which doesn't require a lot of midline stability, you're sitting on a machine that helps you stabilize and press against it. It was an entirely new world of struggle, entirely from day one. But that's also where the benefit came from. The benefit was through the roof because the struggle and the challenge was through the roof. And the human body, like any organism, when you appropriately stimulate it with obstacles and challenges, it should adapt and become more resilient and stronger. And so it's a good thing that CrossFit is as challenging as it is. And I just wish when I had gotten into CrossFit that I knew a whole heck of a lot more about scaling. I just didn't know what I didn't know. And I remember a squat clean. Holy cow. My brain could not wrap its head around the fact that I'm supposed to elevate this barbell into the air and then somehow wedge myself underneath loading. Like my body said, don't get under there. That's weight. Get away from it. Don't get under it. Get away from it. And learning how to clean was just a long, long process. So yes, sir, absolutely struggled. And I think a lot of that struggle is good for a coach, quite frankly. If you've got a coach in real life that is trying to help you or whatever, fill in the blank, that might be phenomenal, but if everything they've ever done and tried came super easy to them and you're struggling, that might be a bit of a confusion for them. But if they're very familiar with the struggle and very familiar how to overcome those struggles and very familiar with, well, you should try this, and if this doesn't work, we can try this, and hey, I know because I've had to try 28 different things to get this to happen, those are good things. So if you are a coach and things are a struggle for you, I would consider that a pro, not a con, quite frankly. So, oh yeah, and the struggle continues, my friend. All right, let's see. Anne had a question. Okay. Why are heavy days normally done in sets of 7? It might seem that way, and it's a good question. So a lot of the heavy day rep schemes that will be laid out, how many sets there are, and then how many reps there are in each set is to some degree, determined by experience and what works, and also to some degree there are some established norms historically in percentage charts and things like that that have traditionally been shown to work well for a broad pool of athletes. So, some classic lifting chart stuff would be that if you're lifting around 90%, let's say of your 1 rep max, be that on a squat or a deadlift or fill in the blank, your favorite lift, if you're operating around 90%, well then the reps should be a single or a double, ish per set, and you would want 4 to 10 reps total, okay? So by that metric, a 7x1 fits exactly into that because it's going to be quite heavy. You're going to be at, ballpark 90%, if not more. The reps are 1 to 2, so 7x1, and the total reps are 4 to 10. 7's right in the middle there. So for lifting just about as heavy as you're going to lift, 7x1, or like a 7x2, or something like, not a 7x2, 7 by 1 fits really, really well. Now, if we bump that down to, you've got like a 75% to 85%, maybe operating around that loading percentage, well, then your reps per set are going to be anywhere from about 2 to 6 reps per set. And then you're going to want anywhere from maybe 10 to 24 repetitions total. And so if you're operating in a 75% to 85% range with 2 to 6 reps per set, well, that's when you come up with your 5 by 3 day or your 6 by 3 day or something like that. And so if we bumped it down even a little bit less to like 55% to maybe 70% or whatnot, then we're talking in the 3 to 6 reps per set range for 12 to 30 reps total. And that's where you may see something like a 5 by 5 day. And so it just kind of depends upon the reps and the sets, and the total number will be directly linked to what's the intended stimulus that day and roughly the percentages that you think the athlete will be loaded at. And then that kind of helps drive you towards which of those things that you're going to do. So hopefully that was helpful there. I'm on my last page of notes here. Let's see. David Bryce Nicholson, where are you? I think your question was near the top. Okay, here we go. Found it. All right. If our workout of the day is a 15-minute AMRAP, which yesterday's workout was, and the more likely score is 7 rounds or more, if we hit 7 rounds, is that time to pull back on the pace, maintain the pace, or, Lord have mercy, pick up the pace? Also, what are the helmets on the wall behind me in the video? You can see them. Can't quite see them. Maybe I'll twist it over there. There they are. Okay. All right, so let's handle the first part of the question. So yesterday's workout, we'll use this as a great example. 15-minute AMRAP of 12-9-6. 12 Russian kettlebell swings, 9 burpees, 6 V-ups. And we had a 53-pound bell for the men, 35-pound bell for the women. And the more likely score on that was 7 rounds. And the Super Fitness Robot score was 10 rounds or more. By the way, before we dive into this, everybody was just had the pedal to the metal on this workout. I was really happy with myself. I almost got 10 rounds. I think I was 3 V-ups shy of 10 rounds. And I was like, man, almost hit the Super Fitness Robot. That's really cool. I entered my score, and it was like in the 63rd percentile because so many of you out there just absolutely destroyed that workout. Geez, everybody's got to slow down so that I can feel a little bit better about my fitness here. Anyway, okay. So his question is, you're doing this workout and maybe you had in your head, there's the more likely score is 7. I'm going for that 7 rounds. And let's say, it's a 15-minute AMRAP. And let's say you hit 7 at, 11 minutes, right? You've got 4 minutes left. So then his question becomes, since you achieved what you kind of had in your head, do you pull back? Do you maintain that pace? Or do you pick up the pace? And the answer is yes. And the answer is no. Sorry, I'm sure that's unsatisfying. But it's the truth because it depends on a lot of factors, right? And let's take each one and analyze it. Do you pull back on the pace? Maybe. It depends why. Are you reasons that you should pull back? Were you maintaining such a frantic pace trying to achieve a particular score that your form has started to deteriorate? And if somebody saw how you were swinging that kettlebell and what your lumbar spine looked like, they would not be pleased with you. If that's the case, absolutely pull back. Should you maintain? Well, that's the situation that I found myself in, quite frankly, because I knew that the more likely was 7, and I very much just wanted to get 7, and anything above 7 I was going to be happy with. And when I got to 7, I looked at the clock and I did some quick math in my head, and I was like, ooh, I'm like right on the pace that if I maintain this pace, I think I'm going to get 10, which was the super fitness robot, which I just said I missed by 3 repetitions. And I was like, ooh, should I pick up the pace or should I maintain the pace? And I probably could have picked up the pace a little bit, but truth be told, I did not want to because I was in plenty of misery, dripping plenty of sweat, and huffing and puffing just fine as I was. That I did not feel like I was being shortchanged in any way, shape, or form in my fitness. And pressing the accelerator a little bit more just so that, I don't know, when I do this video or post my score, I can have another couple reps. I didn't have any interest in that. I said, I am plenty in the hurt locker where I am, and but while I'm in the hurt locker, I still can feel that my form is good to go, and I feel like at this pace, although it stings, I can maintain with good form till the end, and I'm going to do that and just consider it a victory. So for me personally, that's what went through my head yesterday, to maintain, even though I was pretty sure that if I pressed the accelerator a little bit, I could hit that coveted super fitness robot time, but I didn't. I chose not to do that. Final option that David wanted to know is, when do you know when it's time to pick up the pace or not? And again, it should always go back to, if you decided to increase the pace at any point in time during the workout, could you do that while maintaining proper mechanics and form that you should be? If the answer is yes, okay, you've passed the first hurdle. So then the next decision as to whether or not you would want to do that is, your form's going to maintain, and then just the question is, why? Now, if you are feeling a little bit better than you thought you would be at that point in time in the workout, and you again did some quick math, and you're like, ooh, maybe you just finished round 2 of Helen, and you come in, you finish round 2, you look at the clock, and you had a pace that you thought was appropriate and safe, but was going to be really hard and sustainable. And then you realize, I'm feeling really good today. I could actually, if I press the gas a little bit more, which I feel like I can, I might PR, or I might, be capable of something I didn't realize. Absolutely. Go ahead. Go for it. And same deal with that during the 15-minute AMRAP. If picking up the pace and you can do it in a safe manner, I think it's a good idea every now and then if you have that self-awareness, because I'm also a big fan of learning things during workouts. And so if you pick up the pace, one of two things is going to happen, right? It's going to have been a good idea or a bad idea, and both are valuable lessons. If it goes the good way, well, then you picked up the pace, from what you originally thought was sustainable. You now realize you're capable of more. I'm going to try to go faster. Great. You do, and you're successful. Your form maintains. Sure, your breathing increases. You get a little bit more discomfort that you need to endure, but you do endure it. You do maintain your form. You do somehow recover your breathing. And at the end of that workout, you learn that you are more capable than you previously thought. And that's a powerful thing to learn and a fantastic thing to learn. And you sometimes only learn that when you do decide to see if you can press that gas pedal a little bit more. But it has to be done intelligently. Now, let's say you decide to pick up the pace. You're like, I'm feeling good. I'm going to pick up the pace. And unbeknownst to you, even though you felt like you could improve the pace, you couldn't. You were operating at the limits of your capacity, and you didn't realize that you were until you pressed the gas down a little bit more. And what happened? All of a sudden, hands were on the hips. Weight felt far heavier than it should. You feel your midline deteriorating into something that you would not want one of your friends or clients to do. You have to have that self-awareness of being able to feel your body as well in order to make those calls. But if you did, well, then the choice is clear. Take your foot off the gas. Stop. Slow down or stop. Do whatever you need to do to get yourself back into a happy and safe area to continue moving. And both of those are valuable lessons, right? You learning what you are or are not capable of And that's something we should strive to do in life. So all good things, but highly dependent upon the individual. And also just remember, high intensity is a wonderful thing. High intensity is a wonderful thing and beneficial relative to the individual based upon their physical and psychological tolerances. But high intensity does not mean maximal intensity. I don't know a lot of people that can go into the gym, max out their intensity every day, and not get burnt out, not start to just not enjoy training, and then they're going into the gym with less intensity and things aren't good. Okay, final question from Kathleen. Kathleen, here we go. Sorry if this has been asked before. I'm wondering about your programming cycles and the method to your madness. Do you follow any larger plan or regular cycle where they focus on different things? For example, do you program in a set number of weeks where there will be an underlying focus on a certain area, such as conditioning or strength or a particular gymnastics movement? I have noticed that there has been some repeating movements in the accessory work, including farmer's carries and overhead strength. Will you shift this to something different in a few weeks? Great question. Oh, sorry, real quick, I just gotta. So I forgot to mention the helmets. Yeah, the helmets on the wall are from BUDS, which is Basic Underwater Demolition SEAL Training, and each helmet represents a different phase in training. So the green helmet is first phase, which is not a pleasant phase. The blue helmet is from second phase, which is dive phase, which is not a pleasant phase. And then the third helmet, the red one, is from land warfare phase, third phase, which is not a pleasant phase. And then it has your name on the front and your class number on the side. And if you're an officer, it's got a stripe on the helmet so the instructors know to give you extra quote-unquote attention and love. Or if you're chief petty officer or whatnot, you've got your rank on the front. And yeah, so that's it. And they're just a nice little reminder of struggle and days gone by. Okay, so Kathleen's question, fantastic question, and a huge question. And yes, we've dove into this a couple times before in some various podcasts, but I'll give you a nice little succinct answer as best I can. So I program in 4-week cycles for Linchpin, but that cycle has a focus, and that focus is fitness. And I'm not trying to be cute or silly when I give that answer. Fitness meaning work capacity across broad time and mobile domains, GPP, general physical preparedness. And so, it is my opinion and experience that you can program in a way that's greedy, okay? But you have to be patient. So, for example, you can program in a way, so I don't just have a 4-week cycle where I say, you know what, I'm going to care less about everyone's strength during this cycle, and I'm going to care more about their gymnastics. And people play that game thinking that, well, I'm going to, put strength to the side, put gymnastics in the forefront, and then the thought being, I become amazing or more amazing at gymnastics, and then when the next cycle rolls in, that I maintain that gymnastics capacity, and then bring the strength back up so that I didn't lose any, and maybe I focus more on strength that next cycle, which if you're focusing on something, that means you have to not be focusing on something else. And so by its very nature, if you're focusing a bit more on strength, well, we're not going to care so much about gymnastics and conditioning. We're going to let those slip. And then when the next cycle rolls around, well, now we've let the conditioning slip for a while, so we're going to focus on the conditioning. And if you're focusing on the conditioning, well, there's less emphasis happening on these other areas. And you play this yo-yo game that I think is popular but not effective. And there are ways to do that intentionally and intelligently if you are training for a specific event, if you are a dedicated full-time athlete that knows their season and when the events are that they have to peak for and things like that. But in the real world, if we're training for the real world, which is what we're doing, I don't want to let your strength slide. I don't want to let your conditioning slide, and I don't want to let your body weight movement slide. I want to be greedy, and I want to program in a way that gives all of those a bit of attention every cycle. And so we're just always gently pushing the curve up, for all those metrics, because if you're a mom, a dad, my dog's trying to get into the room here, just a regular human being walking around, let alone something where you really use your fitness for your job. You are a soldier, a firefighter, a first responder, an EMT, a police officer, a construction worker, or whatever it happens to be. And this largely, everybody's influenced from their experience, and I'm largely influenced from my former occupation as a SEAL. I just can't, life doesn't work in cycles. If you are ready for the unknown and the unknowable, especially like I just said, in any of those first responder things, you don't have a crystal ball. So firefighters, police officers, soldiers, and everyone can't go, we talked to the enemy, and we talked to all the bad guys, and we talked to all the arsonists, and good news is we're not going to have to lift anything too heavy for the next 4 weeks, but there's going to be a lot of conditioning components, so we're going to focus on our conditioning, and it's okay to let those other things slide. Or vice versa. Hey, we connected with the bad guys and whatever, and there's some heavy stuff in our future. So, hey, I know you guys have been paying a bit more conditioning, let that slide. The focus now becomes, it's just that's not how the real world works. The real world has no allegiance to those sort of things. It demands that you have strength, it demands that you have conditioning, it demands you can go from short to long, it demands mixed modality, the whole 9 yards, and it doesn't let you know when you're going to need any of that particular capacity. It's not up to you. And so our goal as CrossFitters, and through doing well-rounded programming, is to live to the best of our ability in this healthy, happy, ready state, in which you're ready for, does the lifting something heavy cross your path? Something really heavy once, or something moderately heavy 50 times? I'd like you to be ready for both. Does sprinting cross your path, or does a middle distance run cross your path? Does a lot of body weight movements cross your path? Do all of them together kind of cross your path? And the goal of what we do at Linchpin is to focus on all of those at the same time in an intelligent way, and it is a challenging and beautiful symphony to program in that manner. But that's the goal. And some of the things you also mentioned about accessory work, and that's, since you will see some things regularly, they will make regular appearances, and some things will make more infrequent appearances. And the ones that make regular appearances do so because they're that valuable. And it can be easy sometimes to think that you got to switch something up just for the sake of being novel, because human beings to some degree enjoy novelty. But programming for novelty is not the way to do effective business long term. So there might be some things that come up more regularly, or you see regularly. We'll see the Bergner warm-up 1 or 2 times a week, and I'm not concerned about novelty. I'm putting the Bergner warm-up in what we do once or twice a week because it works amazing. And so if you have the discipline and dedication to realize that, it will pay off. And some things like in the accessory work, the overhead carries, work in the L-sit, dumbbell walking lunges, Bulgarian split squats, one-arm dumbbell rows. There are just some things that are going to be mainstays in there. And they're going to be mainstays because they work so darn well. And I'm also, somebody asked somewhere else on here about a programming book or whatnot, and I've never been overly happy with any of the ones that I've read. This question's come up a lot, so I have started just crunching my thoughts down on paper, and when I finally finish it, I don't know when it will be, it's a work in progress, my thoughts on programming, my take on beautiful CrossFit programming, my lessons learned, some general guidelines, I will put that out just, for free for everyone to enjoy. Right now, I've got it in a Google Doc on my computer because I work on it a little bit every day, and it's 25 pages right now of single-spaced text. So, uh, it takes a while to dive into all of these things, but they're worthwhile, and they deserve the respect of a good detailed answer. So that's why I'm kind of creating that document. So that's it. Geez, that went a little bit longer than expected. Hope everybody enjoys their rest day. Thanks to everybody for being members of the Linchpin community, and thanks to whoever the Linchpin member was. It just came to my attention, I'm not a Reddit guy, that somebody from Linchpin took the photo that I put on Instagram every now and then of what's included with the Linchpin private track. It has like, I don't know what it is, 10 or 15 little bullet points. And it took that photo and put it on Reddit with the 30-day free trial. And we got a bunch of members signed up, like from Reddit. It was really cool. So I don't know who that mysterious Reddit user was, but greatly appreciated. So it's pretty cool when members of our community are so happy and proud that they spread the word. So I appreciate it greatly. Enjoy your rest day, and we'll talk later.